So good.
Alrighty, we are live. I'm not even worried about sharing it because we are behind, and I know that Helen Pocock will be there waiting, wondering what we're doing. Bron Leister said she thumbs up the message, which was great. So we could have two people watching us, which would be good, which would be great.
Well, we're live now,
Yeah,
and that's all that matters.
Yes,
And people can see both of us. We like to be social and humane, for want of a better term, and not one of us is more important than the other. So we've got a nice split down the middle. It's fair. It's half-half. It's split screen. We thought that the previous setting where you were speaking, you were on view when you were speaking, and vice versa,
yeah,
just wasn't. This wasn't in the culture of the podcast,
no,
so
it
it
really
didn't
wasn't.
fit. It wasn't a cultural fit, that setting.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And that was seconded by Helen. She's
Yeah.
secretary.
Yeah, and she's
Oh,
back.
there you go.
She must get notifications. I have great respect for that.
Yeah,
It
I
just shows
just
a
think she's
whole level of technical nous, which I just don't have.
She's got it sorted. Both of them have got it sorted. Julie's got it sorted. Are you still in Melbourne, Julie, or have you moved back to Queensland again? I don't know where you're at. But I'll tell you what, it is great to have everybody join us today, and it is with a heavy heart we'll be doing our podcast today about one of Marcus's dear friends. And
One of our podcast dear
one
friends,
of
I think.
our podcast dear friends, one of the Earth's dearest friends. Let's get into it.
All
MP.
right, okay. So then I will. I reckon we might be episode 448. Okay, here we go. This one. In 3, 2, and 1. Hello and welcome to 100 Not Out, a weekly show dedicated to helping you master the art of aging well. Marcus Pearce here with you for episode 448. Can you believe it?
Can't believe
and
it.
as always, I do it with one of my dearest friends on this planet, Dr. Damien Christoph. Hello, legend.
Hello, legend. How are you? How's things?
We are well. We are moving as we record this. Let's timestamp away. We're moving into our new home in 2 weeks today.
Congratulations.
So we're a happy little Vegemite. See, Sarah's a bit under the pump. She's packing like a mofo in between school hours and
like a mofo. Can you say that? What does mofo even mean? I think that's short for swear words.
Yeah, it is. That's why I just tend to use the word mofo. And if I want to go longer, I say fire truck instead of other things, and just little random abbreviations. So she is packing.
I don't know if you can say that about your wife.
No. Sorry, not well. Sorry, it's not the best use of the word, but she's packing. Very. What's the word?
Diligently.
Diligently.
Very,
Yeah.
She's efficient.
If we're going to get literal, then absolutely, you would never, ever,
You can't
ever,
say that.
ever
No.
say that.
No.
But I was actually more just wanting to give our listeners and
I'm
viewers
shocked.
an idea of the intensity of the Pearce household at the moment.
It's intense.
And it's intense. And speaking of intense,
Frantically.
my mum is intense in the best possible way. I
Is
love
she-
it a bit.
Is she like a cross between a wigwam and a teepee?
I don't know what a wigwam is, but
She's two tents.
Oh, intense!
She's two tents.
That is so good.
What about that one?
Oh, that is so good. I love this already. And so my mum, my mother darling,
Love her.
calls me yesterday and leaves a 6-second voice message, as she tends to do.
6 seconds.
And she says, I suppose you know this already, but the world's happiest man has died. And I was like, whoa, wow.
Wow. Thanks, Mum. In a 6-second message.
In a 6-second message.
Right.
And I said to my daughter Maya last night, I said, Maya, you know Eddie, who we've recorded a 100th happy birthday video when it was actually his 99th birthday, and you know Eddie, who's the world's happiest man and been on Daddy and Damo's podcast. I said, Eddie died last night, and you could see the sadness in her eyes. She's never met the man.
Yeah.
And you could just feel this sense that if you told anyone that the happiest man on earth had passed away, there's just a feeling. And I said to someone yesterday, like, imagine dying and being called the happiest man on earth. Like, what a life you would have lived for that to occur.
Yeah, I know, right? Unbelievable. Imagine Eddie lived at Disneyland. So he was like the happiest man on earth at the happiest place on earth. It was unbelievable. But he wasn't. But he definitely, when we spoke to him, it was, well, actually, I don't think I actually spoke with him. I think.
I'll tell you the story.
Oh, no, I did speak with him. I did speak with him, but I know who I didn't speak. No, I don't know if I did speak with. Did I speak with him?
So,
because I
episode
couldn't be there.
103, 104.
Yeah.
You organised the interview.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know if it was through Jackson's school. I often get confused with Anna Rubinstein and Eddie Jaku and a couple of other guests, but it was definitely through a connection or an experience that you had.
Yeah. And
you were the like you are in many things in my life. You were the seed or the beginning.
Or the conduit. Maybe the conduit.
You were the conduit.
Yeah.
And it was. We did a double episode because it was a great long chat. And I had Brendan Malloy message me and others yesterday. As soon as he heard of Eddie Jaku's death, he went and listened back to episode 103, 104 of 100 Not Out. Mm-hmm. And I felt like when we interviewed Ada Merkes and Isabel, your grandmother by marriage, and some of these people, we've had a number of 100 Not Out deaths in the last 6 months.
Legends pass on. Yeah.
How grateful are we that we have got their voice on tape, so to speak, forever and ever, because listeners can go back and people can go back and learn, who's this happiest man on earth? What's it all about? And they can go back and listen to 103, 104. What you're referring to is an episode 6 or 12 months later when I went to Sydney.
You went to see him.
Yeah. And had lunch with Eddie, and he took me around the Jewish Museum.
That's right.
And I recorded a 10 or 15 minute chat we were having over coffee.
Yeah, that's right. That's a nice one. That's a really nice one. But can I also say, the reason why Eddie seems so close to me is because I listened to his book, even though it's not Eddie speaking, it's somebody else. That voice for me feels like it was Eddie as a young man, and so like I listened to that book and I've listened to it a number of times because some of the stories in there move you so much to inspiration that you can't not be moved by the words of Eddie. And his mindset and I got a message actually. I got a message from my great mate Pete, not Pete Lennon, another great mate Pete, and Pete Stacey said to me, he loved the episode with Ada. What an incredible woman! And then my mum said to me, not in a 6-second message, she actually said to me today, she said, I listened to Ada. What an amazing woman she was. And so I feel compelled that we need to do a tribute to Eddie because he was an incredible man as well, like Isabel was, like Ada was, like so many of our 100 Not Out legends have been absolutely amazing people. And I hope that one day, in 50 years' time-ish, 53 years' time for me, if I clock over 100, raise the bat and get an extra year under my belt, that people say, I was an amazing man too. The way that people talk about these people because they moved us, it's amazing. So maybe we can put those episodes back up again for people.
Should we re-release them or should we add them to the end of this conversation, I wonder? We could do either. Let's
do a little vote. And for those of you who are listening to this, you will find out if this podcast goes for an hour and a half. But for those of you who are live with us on Facebook right now, let us know, should we tack it on to the end of this or should we re-release them? Let us know.
We'll have a look at the end.
Let's do a little
So the thing
poll.
I think that Eddie made you and I both so, like when I think about this and why certain guests and certain people that come into our lives really click with us, the thing that really gets me about Eddie is that he was the living example of so many things that we talk about and research and discuss on this podcast. Like he was so social. Like he was the 101-year-old version of yourself. He was the Labrador. He would talk to anyone. He was us. Yeah. He would talk to anyone.
He was the Ted Lasso of Australia. How good's Ted Lasso?
That is so true.
Yes.
Eddie Jaku could just see the blessings and the positivity in
everything.
Anything.
Everything. Yes. See it. Yeah. Just take the good of it.
Yeah, he was big on eating natural foods, but he was so happy to have a cake with his coffee, a hot chocolate. He was
simple
very
pleasures.
generous. Like, you are the most generous person I think I've ever met, or have been. Well, my most generous friend. But Eddie was of the view that it is so much better to give with warm hands. Like, give to your family and your friends whilst you are alive to see what you are giving them. Don't store, and not even just your financial wealth, but your emotional wealth and just your presence with people. Like, don't leave it all for later. Like, live it all now. Like, he loved giving money to his family and his friends and his community. He gave so much money to the Jewish Museum so that it could actually be birthed. He gave so much time doing it every Wednesday, taking school children around the Jewish Museum for tours and traveling to Canberra on planes to go and talk to the military about how to be kind and loving and respectful, and packing out audiences, doing TED Talks aged 100. Like, he was so generous in nature.
How old was Eddie when he passed away?
101. He was
Unreal.
His birthday's in April.
So just ticked over. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's the fact that there's some people, some guests that we've had, they're very good at one or two or three areas of life, and that's phenomenal. And we love to talk to them about that.
Yeah.
But there's obviously ones that really get us, aren't there? And I think Eddie was one of those for us and millions of people around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I was playing golf this morning, as you know. On Wednesdays I play golf, and I played with Simon today, Simon Dick. And Simon is a very good golfer, and he said, "Did you hear that the happiest man on earth died yesterday?" And I said, "I did, Dickie. I did know that." And he said, "I thought you might have known." And I said, "Yeah, I did." And he said, "Did you ever interview him?" I said, "Yep, I did. Listen to his book. Lovely, lovely guy, unbelievable. What a great legacy." And I said, one of the things that really got me was, and maybe we can share a little story here. You can share a story, and I'll share this story, was he talks about being crammed into a cattle truck that's a part of a train where maybe 60 people could have been comfortable, and there was hundreds, maybe 200 people in this cattle truck, and none of them could sit down, and they were in there for days. And so in the heat and in the cold, whatever it was, and essentially they were all rammed into this thing, in this carriage. I suspect, and I can't recall, but maybe it's heading to Auschwitz.
Yeah, it's a cattle cart. Cart, yep.
Heading to Auschwitz. And by the time days went past, people had died in this thing. And obviously there's no toilets, so you're just weeing and defecating wherever you stand and wherever you are. So you can imagine what that would be like. The stench would have been revolting, absolutely disgusting. But the way in which he stayed alive was by licking the walls of the cattle cart so that he could actually get the condensation to remain hydrated enough to live. And Simon said, it's unbelievable that we would be complaining about the situation that we're in today with COVID and our lockdowns. When you think of that adversity that people went through in those days back then, and then they're still the happiest person on earth. Unbelievable. And so that moved me, that particular story, and I recall that story.
Can I add a little animation to your story? Because as you started talking, I thought of a part of the book that I didn't include because just for space and everything.
Yep.
Of your exact story.
Uh-huh.
Can I read it?
Yeah.
Because I just found
Please.
it, and it's something. It's
and
one of those parts.
Is this as an editor's cut?
Yeah, this is the editor's cut. Yeah, it is. So
this is on the floor. This is on the ground. This didn't make it to the movies.
Well, don't get me started on a movie about Eddie Jaku. Well, I think one of my life goals is to make a movie on Eddie Jaku. So I call this section of yeah, absolutely. I think Eddie's story, the story that I can see in my mind. I was thinking about it sitting on the couch last night. It's actually in. I think it's in your folder that you're holding right there.
Is it?
Maybe go to page 89. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm seeing on here. So I called it the spanner, the screwdriver, and the hammer. And I really want to attempt to do an Eddie accent here.
Don't.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I got two words in, and I got the code.
Don't even try.
Okay. I had 9 hours to escape. In a stroke of divine intervention, Eddie Jaku noticed a hammer, screwdriver, and spanner on the platform. he asked the train driver how long the impending trip was. He was boarding a cattle cart train with 34 other prisoners and had instantly conceived his escape. The day was May 10, 1940, and the 4,000 German Jews at the internment camp at Gers, France, were being transferred. Eddie got to work unscrewing the bolts from the floorboard in the train before using the screwdriver to chisel away at it. And eventually, just before we arrived at the border in Strasbourg, I opened 2 planks and I escaped. I went back to Belgium and I lived in an attic with my parents and my sister for more than 2 years. On October 18, 1943, someone denounced us and we were sent to Auschwitz. After a string of catch me if you can escape attempts, Auschwitz was Jaku's 4th camp and would be his last, almost by his own doing. During his time in Auschwitz, Jaku oscillated between a desire to live and a desperation to die. And this, for me, is a story that what's about to follow is Jaku talking to us on episodes 103, 104. And he would say, I would say to my friend, Kurt, let's go to the wire. We'll die in 30 seconds, electrocuted. Kurt said no, just spontaneously. When Kurt was sick and came to me with the same idea, I would say no. Together, we were strong. I'll end it there. But I think that is just so powerful for me that Eddie was not this infallible, indestructible human being. He was vulnerable. He had his weak moments. He had moments where he wanted to commit suicide. He had moments of thinking it was all over. But he was so determined. His soul always found a way to survive. And I just find that phenomenal, Damo.
Yeah, I know. And I'm reading that. It's actually page 84 of my transcript. So there must have been another version that you punched out that I haven't got a copy of. But I'll tell you what, if anybody wants this copy, one day it might be up for sale. But because that is one of the great manuscripts I've ever read, by the way. And if you haven't bought Marcus's book yet, you really should go and buy Marcus's book, marcuspierce.com.au. Buy it there and get it. That's a message brought to you by our sponsor.
Go buy Eddie's book first. Eddie's book will go to number 1 in the next week or in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, I think that is a great book to buy. And if you aren't a reader, then buy the Audible version.
Audio,
and obviously it's not Eddie speaking, but it makes you feel like it's Eddie speaking, like the accent of the man. Yeah, accent of the man is amazing. These sorts of things make you reflect, Piercy, and I think it's easier for me to reflect. And I was talking with a chiropractor today. We were talking about how in other states they don't quite get, and I think this could be the same for, the average everyday person, doesn't quite get what lockdown is. Because you haven't been in it, right? Unless you've been in it. Like, so if you're in it and you've been a person living through lockdown here in Melbourne, you get it. If you've been in Sydney, you can kind of get what it is in Melbourne, and if you're in Melbourne, you definitely understand what Sydney people went through. But we're still in it. Here we are 250 odd days in lockdown, the most lockdown place in the world, and so you reflect on what this lockdown actually is, but it's the little things that kind of come back into play. So for me, golf being back for the last 2 weeks has been incredible for me. It's really helped me out mentally, and it's those little things that help you remain grateful and to see the great things, because you could quite easily get stuck in stinking thinking. But to live out large chunks of your life as a prisoner of war, or live out large chunks of your life in loneliness, which could be a prisoner of life, or for, I've got a friend who's in jail and will probably be in jail for, a total of 30 years, and to think of that isolation, it's a great reminder of where we could direct our gratitude, and it's to the people that are around us and the people that help make us. And I think that's a really important thing. So I want to share some gratitude to those people that are around me on a daily basis. That's, Amber, and I miss Jackson dearly, and I can't wait to see Jackson more. My mum and my dad and Trudy and my team, those people make my life unbelievable. So as a gratitude, if I don't share it enough, then this is something I want to share, is gratitude to people that are around me. So thank you.
It's a great point that you make, Damo. I love that you say that, because a story that, I don't know if it was an interview that Eddie did with us or if it was in a conversation, but a story that often sticks with me that Eddie shared is he was a grumpy man for many years after the war. He said he was an average boyfriend. He was an
Yeah,
even worse
you
husband.
said that. Yeah,
And he couldn't understand why Flor was in love with him and was still with him. And it wasn't until he had his son, I think it was Michael, but it wasn't until he had his son that he realized, I have to become a happier man
yes,
because I've got all of these people around me that I'm actually so grateful for. But how do I show my gratitude? Well, it's actually by being, a happy individual and a nice person to be around. And I think that's what you're saying right now, Damo, is that it's not something that's all the time. You're not going to be happy all the time. And Eddie, by his own admission, wasn't happy all the time. That's not what it's about.
I
But it's
pretty
by
much am.
showing, it's showing gratitude by being a really great version of ourselves on
Yeah,
a regular basis.
yeah,
And that, for me, that in itself, a lot of the time, yes, the verbal is great, and actually, showing our appreciation is fabulous as well. But just being present with our loved ones, our teammates, whoever it is in our life. There's no greater, someone said the other day, like, I know it's a cliche line, but, there's no greater gift than giving someone the gift of their name. Hello, Damien.
100%.
Hello,
Yes.
Jackson.
Yeah,
Hello, Amber.
yeah,
Hello, Helen. Hello, Julie. There's just these
yeah.
little things. And I think people like Eddie are great reminders of just these little things. Ada Murky's, just find that spark of happiness and hold on to that. Like, just these little things are so pivotal in our life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the little things that we do that can shift and move people. They can move mountains. It's that. I know people talk about it as the butterfly effect, but I truly believe that it makes a difference. So do those little things for sure.
I've loved this chat, Damo. Is there anything else you would like to share about Eddie? Julie says, I'm absolutely loving your book, Marcus. Thank you, Julie.
She's
What an
saying that.
angel.
Yeah,
What an angel.
she's an angel.
Um,
Look, I just want to, I want to wish everybody well, and I want to wish, I want to thank Eddie for being such a great part of our show and for our journey. He was a significant part of your journey. There's no doubt about it. And I think he moved you a lot, to write the book and to pull together such an incredible manuscript that you did. And to deliver such a great product. But, I want to thank Eddie for being part of our life and for being so generous to everybody that he came into touch with. And as each of these Holocaust survivors just drop off the planet, we're left with the memories of that. And you and I aren't Jewish, but I tell you what, those stories move us. And there's going to be a lot more stories, and we can't meet more centenarians. I sent you a message of somebody the other day who lives in the Gold Coast that I want you to reach out to so that we can, interview her too. So we'll do that. We'll bring some more centenarians to the table and keep sharing those sorts of stories. So yeah, what a great What a great reminder.
I think that's a really good point, actually. Just how much we get as a community of listeners of 100 Not Out in learning from people that have lived for like multiple generations more than us.
Yes. Yeah.
There's just so much perspective, isn't there? So yeah, I think you're right, Damo. I think it's time that we bring another centenarian onto the podcast and learn some more wisdom off a living legend. And like you say, Vale Eddie Jaku, an absolute remarkable man, and may he and his family, may Eddie rest in peace, and sending all of our love to Eddie's family and friends, his wife Flor, his children, his great-grandchildren, and his great-great-grandchildren. A life extremely well lived.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Well, go and get yourself a copy of Eddie's book, The Happiest Man on Earth, and the audiobook, as Damo suggests, if you much prefer an audiobook. To find out more about Damo, head on over to DamienChristoff.com, myself, MarcusPearce.com.au. Massive shout out to everyone who makes this podcast possible, Joseph, our editor, and to all of our listeners and viewers of the podcast. Thank you for your support of 100 Not Out. Until next week, as always, continue to make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Bye for now.
Cool.
Great. We're still going, Facebook. I know you're all there. What we do need to know from you, Facebook, is are we going to tack on Eddie's episodes, because they're now no longer available on iTunes, because they've ticked over. We've ticked over 300 past that. So because they're not on iTunes anymore, do you want it tacked onto the end of this one, or would you like it to be re-released?
Re-released.
Helen's gone, yes, tack it
Once
on.
it's tack on.
All right.
That's a winner.
Well, N equals 1, so the majority rules right now. Thanks, Helen. Oh, TP's gone separate.
Whoa,
Yep.
whoa. I'm thinking a re-release. I'm thinking like we'll release them all on the same day.
Yep.
On the Monday, this Vale episode, but then we'll have a bonus re-release.
Yep.
Come out at exactly the same time.
Yep. Of both eps.
And it's easier for people to consume. Yeah.
What about all 3 eps? Because you did 3 eps.
All 3.
Yep.
So the double episode of 103, 104.
Yeah.
And then the catch up in Sydney.
Yeah.
And so there'll essentially be 4 episodes coming out on the same Monday.
Yeah. Great. Good.
Let's do it.
Right. Helen, you got voted down. Sorry about that. Unfortunately.
Oh, we love you, Helen.
But we love you, Helen.
Yeah, we love you, Helen.
Actually, Helen, when is your birthday? Because I really want to play that song. I really do.
We'll just sing it. Can't we just sing it?
Oh. Yeah, we could. We will. But we still got to know when their birthday is.
Dun, 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 dun. Oh, the guitar and Happy Birthday, Helen. I just remember it. Like it. Yeah.
So good.
Cool.
All right, everybody. Thank you.
4 for the price of 0.
That's good maths. Thanks, Pete. I love it. July.
Yeah.
All right, Helen. We need more detail. July's 31 days, right? So, come on.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, let us know. You're Leo? Leo? Is it late July? Yeah, I think she is actually. I've got a feeling she is. Yeah. All right.
Great.
Okay, Facebook.
See you later.
See you, Facebook. Bye.